Okay. So as you know that in our previous classes, we already have learned about generativism, which is one of the schools of thought, right? So we are going to start today, and we are going to learn today about another school of thought, which is called structuralism. And structuralism first comes to prominence as a specific discourse with the work of a Swiss linguist whose name is Ferdinand de Saussure, who developed a branch of linguistics called structural linguistics, right? And Ferdinand de Saussure is also considered and is labeled as the father of modern linguistics. So here are a few facts about him. Like he actually his work was published posthumously. Posthumously means a term that we use for the person or author whose work is published after his death, right? So his students collected, okay, it is on recording mode. His students collected together his lecture notes after his death and published them under the title Course in General Linguistics. And his crucial contribution was his explicit and reiterated statement that all language items are essentially interlinked. He suggested that language was like a game of chess, a system in which each item is defined by its relationship to all the others. All right. So when we'll be learning more about the heads and the fundamental principles under the structuralism that was given by Ferdinand de Saussure. So we'll be using this chess game example in 2 3 places just to just to understand basically what he means to say. Okay, so let's move to the next slide. So structuralism historically, Ferdinand de Saussure idea may be put under 3 heads. So under this title of structuralism today, we are going to study 3 things. We will define structuralism, European, structuralism given by Ferdinand de Saussure under these 3 heads: synchronic and diachronic study of linguistics. When we say synchronic, it is descriptive linguistics. And when we say diachronic, it is historical linguistics, right? So what is synchronic study of linguistics and what is diachronic study of linguistics? We are going to study today. In the next slide, you will see. Okay, so a synchronic study of linguistics is that languages are studied at a theoretic point in time. One describes a state of a language disregarding whatever changes might be taking place. In other words, we can say that synchronic study is the study of how a language is spoken by a specific speech community at a particular point of time. For example, in synchronic study of linguistics, we study what the language is today, how it is spoken, and what is the status of the language or particular language in present times, right? So we can say that it is current, it is present, not past. All right. What is diachronic study of linguistics? Diachronic study of linguistics explains that languages are studied from point of view of their historical development. For example, the changes which have taken place between old and modern English could be described in phonological, grammatical, and semantic items. So diachronic linguistics is a kind in which we study the historical development of the language through different periods of time, right? For example, when you study history of English, when you study the linguistics and the history of English language, its phonetics, its grammar, its syntax, its grammar, that kind of study is put under the diachronic study of linguistics. And there are a lot of changes that have taken place in in all right. So we were talking about a diachronic study of linguistics, and in which let's take an example of chess game. All right. Imagine that you are playing chess game with your friend. All right, and you both have been playing for 1 hour. and then after 1 hour, another person or another friend of yours enters in the room and asks you that what is happening. So he could see that what is the status of the game at this point of time. He will not be able to understand that when you begin the game, how many moves you have taken, on the checkered board. What is, he would only see on the checkered board the current situation that he could see, but he will not be able to trace out what happened, before that in the last 1 hour. All right. So this example can be taken to understand synchronic and diachronic study of linguistics, that like a chessboard. All right. So you can see that what is the status of the game in present times. But if you have been playing for 1 hour or 2 hours, so I mean those 1 hour and 2 hours, they, if you want to know that whatever happened and how many moves have been taken, so that can be considered as diachronic study. And if you want to focus on what is the status of the game right now, that is synchronic study of linguistics. All right. So this is one head presented by Saussure, and then now the next one is, all right. So this is another slide in front of you, that synchronic study is exploring contemporary use. It's more about what is in the current times. And diachronic study is examining of linguistics phenomena or describing the language change over time. So historical linguistics. Another important thing, and the second head that has been presented by Ferdinand de Saussure was, linguistics competence of the speaker and the actual phenomena of data of language linguistics utterances as lang and parole. So lang and parole, this is a question which has been also given to you in your assignment. Okay, so please stay focused on it. That what is lang and what is parole? Okay, so to understand Lang and Perot, I'll also give you chess game example later. But first, you need to understand similar pairs of concepts have been developed by a number of theorists, such as Lang system code, language competence form, and Perot use message, verbal, behavior, performance. These are the words which are connected to Perot, and we'll be reading out the difference between Lang and Perot. So, what is Lang? Lang as a system including the formal rules, structure, and limitation of language. Okay, so if you want to understand what is a lang is a system or a sign, is a basic unit of language. And lang involves the principles of language. Principles of language means the rules of language that we, okay. And what is parole? Parole is actual the performance, like the performance of the speaker, like the understanding of the language and the production of the language. Okay, so all living languages or individuals act and use the rules of the language in their performance, right? You can see this is a picture in the on the screen, that lang is what are commonly shared rules of the language, and parole is what the individual speaks. Okay, so parole means language in use, and lang means the rules and the structure of the language that are in the minds of an individual, in the mind of the individual. And it can be abstract. It is abstract because we cannot see and gauge that how much knowledge rules of the particular language this individual has. So it cannot be seen actually, it is abstract. While the performance and parole, it can be observed. Like when you speak, you can easily, observe the movement of your mouth and remember the articulatory, linguistics that we study in the previous, in the phonetics, articulatory phonetics, all right? So there are speech organs that when you speak, they perform and they can easily be seen and observed. But lang, the rules and the systems that are in the minds of the speaker, all right, that cannot be seen. They are abstract. Okay, another example is this is the same, description of lang and parole, which you will see here written the point which I was just explaining you, that lang is abstract, but parole, it is concrete and physical, uses physiological, such as speech organs and mechanisms. So the example which I gave you on previous slide, it is the same. All right. Now, how to understand game, Lang and Perol with the help of this game of chess. So in the game, the rules are determined and they are understood by all the players, but each game is different and depends on individual performance with which differ from player to player. All right. For example, you know, we play different games, whatever the games you like to play. Let's take an example of cricket. All right. So each and every games, has its own rules that the players should know. Same, applies to cricket. That cricket has its own international rules formed. All right, and every player knows the rules. That what are the rules? All right, but do you think that the performance of the player is the same? The result of the game is the same? No, each time the result is different. Different teams is the winner. The player performs very differently. Sometimes a player performs better. Sometimes a player performs, very, 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 very bad, right? So it means that knowing the rules of a game is an example of Lang, and performing in the in the field, in the ground, is an example of Perol. All right. Uh, okay. So, this was an example that I gave you about the cricket game to understand Lang and Perol. I'll further take your question in the end. Okay. Now, the third thing that that is there, which is explained by Ferdinand de Saussure, that his theory of signs has been very influential. Like, signs and symbols. Like his linguistic sign is a union of signifier and signified. You need to understand these two terms, signifier and signified. What is signifier and what is signified? And the relationship of sound and meaning is arbitrary. Arbitrary, I think we already have studied in the characteristics of a language, that it is a random, random thing, and the random thing that has been in the practice, and which doesn't have any, it doesn't follow any logics. So in 1960s, Ferdinand de Saussure influenced his theory through examination of a language as a system of sign called semiology. So what is semiology? The study of signs is called semiology. ठीक है? अब आते हैं, look at this. uh, let me just give you an example. If we think of this linguistically, sign, all right, and then you can see a picture which is a picture of a tree in front of your skin. So on your screen. So what is signified and what is signifier? First, we need to understand that. In this slide, let me say that the words or the sounds that we use, that we utter, they are called signifiers. The words that we utter, they are called signifiers. And then whatever the image and the mental image we have of that thing is called signified. The relationship between the signifier and the signified is arbitrary. Just one example I would like to give you to make you understand this. Okay? When I say you green apple, all right, so I'm writing here two words like green apple. If I write here green apple, all right, so green and apple, these are two words which are signifier, like they are giving you, these are the symbols. They are the symbols, and they are the signs. All right, green and apple. And when you listen to this green and apple, you create an image in your mind that is called signified. So we always, what do we do? We always combine, and we always put the things in relationship of their words and the images that are created in our mind. If you have not heard the word, or when you hear a word in a strange language, you will not be able to form an image in your mind. If I say a word in Chinese, and that word has the same meaning which we have, like as we know, for example, fan or a chair. All right, when I say fan and a chair, you will easily be able to imagine the image of that in your mind. एक mental image form हो जाएगा, right? But if I say something in Chinese which means the same, fan or chair, but you will not be able to form an image. So each language has its symbol and its signs, all right, and on the basis of that we form an image in the mind. So initially, when we are teaching children a language, we teach them with the help of the objects. We show them an object, what is this, and the child tries to identify and uses his prior knowledge and his observation and the words he has heard from his peers and elders, and then he utters it, all right. So we teach them initial stages for, we teach children with the help of the images. We show them first of all what is this, and then we tell them this is this. So they save this image in their mind, or this the image of this thing, what which is called a book or a pen, that is saved in their mind forever. And whenever they see the same image, the same sort of a thing, and the same structured thing in front of them, they can easily identify that this is a book or this is a chair. Okay, so we have discussed three heads given by Ferdinand de Saussure: synchronic and diachronic study of linguistics, Lang and Perol, and sign and signified and signifier. The question in your assignment is about the second head, that is Lang and Perol. So you will basically and mainly will be writing about Lang and Perol, the understanding of the rules, and then the performance. All right. So here we end the lecture. Thank you.